All right. Good evening, class, and welcome to my Webquest. This one's about Vikings in America, and it's part of a U.S. history class that I have for you this semester. We'll look at just what this Webquest is about. We'll just read this byline down here, and it says, Young Vikings, you're about to embark on an epic quest to learn about your Viking ancestors. On this journey, you'll find out via technology just who the Vikings were, where they traveled, how they lived, and how they became some of the world's most famous warriors. Best of luck on your quest. Okay, so looking through on this, of course, we have the famous Viking longship here. Let's go over to the intro. So the intro, of course, Viking helmet, as you see here. The Vikings were a fierce warrior civilization that raided and conquered other land. Once land was obtained, the Vikings set up complex civilizations with rulers, leaders, a social trade system. This webcast will take you as the student through the journey of the Vikings in North America. Okay, so let's get started. So as you notice, before each day, we have a setting the scene page here that's kind of just a transition assignment. So before we get started, I want you guys as the students to check out some websites on Vikings. If you look here just under that, we have a couple links. So let's click on one. So this is one that the BBC put out. Give it some time to load, and it just talks about who the Vikings were. A brief article about their history, how they migrated from Norway and Scandinavia, or present day Scandinavia, into the British Isles, and then eventually came over to the present day North America by up through Newfoundland and then even Minnesota and some of the northern provinces of Canada and United States. Okay, so that's one of the articles that is just a suggestion. Also, let's check out this one, Viking Warriors here. Let me minimize the other one. Just a moment for it to load. So these talk about all about the Viking warrior culture. You see some articles about their weapons, about the shield, what the shield meant to the culture. Also, some of the myths that will be really good with the Viking warrior facts. Also, the Viking warrior death and burial. If you've seen some movies before with the Vikings, you saw that a lot of times they would put some of their chieftains in a longboat and set it on fire, or they would just bury it. Also, some Viking warrior clothing. So this kind of gets you in the zone for learning about kind of the Viking culture and some really important stuff that you'll need going in. And then finally, the Vikings couldn't explore without their longboats. And this dkfinditout.com kind of sets the pace and makes you familiar with these Viking longships here that allowed them to explore the North Atlantic, which was a really big feat considering that we see Columbus later on in the 1490s sailing in a huge Spanish galleon type ship. So all of those are crucial to kind of setting the pace and using some of that scaffolding for our web quest. So we can minimize those articles just for housekeeping's sake. So what I want you to do, students, is to watch this video here. And what I want you to do is watch the video and then send it to my teaching email here, parnell.mtellis@gmail.com. And we'll take a look at why it matters. This is an important question just to show you guys that I'm not just sending you on a wild goose chase. And this assignment will show you who the Vikings were and how they explored the Americas. Teachers and students, if you're unfamiliar with YouTube, here's a tutorial on just how to use it from WikiHow that can be useful. So once you've watched this video, what I want you to do is write a paragraph summary of what it's about and then send the summary right over. Simple enough. Okay, page 2. Well, this is the transition. So find and read about some famous Vikings. This will allow you how to understand what the Vikings were all about. So if you're confused of where to start, just open up the search bar, type in famous Vikings. You can use Yahoo, you can use Google. Use a lot of that. So here's one with famous Vikings under vikinghistory.net. Take some time and search under. So here's Leif Erikson. He'll come up later. Eric the Red, in relation to Leif Erikson. So there's two famous Viking guys right there. You could also search any of these. Like here's another one that will give several Vikings. So become familiar with who the Vikings are, and this will get you set up for day 2. Okay. Moving right along, day 2, we're going to do assignment about Leif Erikson here. Here's what I want you to do, class, is read the article and answer the following: who, what, when, where, why. Put the answers in a Google Doc and share with the teacher. And then again, why it matters. Leif Erikson was one of the most famous Vikings. His name was due to his great accomplishments as an explorer and warrior. His influence came over into the U.S. and Minnesota. There's a statue of him. Check it out here. So this is actually pretty cool. Feel free to check this link out. All over the state of Minnesota, you can see a lot of statues of the Vikings, and even the Minnesota Vikings, the professional football team, gets its name from the early Viking explorers, which is pretty cool for the sports fans out there. Take some time to look at Leif Erikson. There's this one's in Duluth, Minnesota. There's also some in St. Paul and Minneapolis in front of several government buildings. It's kind of a trivia tidbit, be a hit at parties. Okay, moving on. Setting the stage for day 3. So this is going to get into how the Vikings spread their history. So the Vikings used rune script to write stories and documents. Use the rune alphabet above to write your name. Then take a photo of it and send it to me. Again, send it to that school email there. So if I were to do it here, I would pick PARNELL. So go ahead and write your name using rune. I'll be excited to see what you guys find out. Okay, looking at, let me make sure that we did not skip over something. Oh, yeah, my apologies. Day 3, we'll be learning about the Kensington Runestone. So if you did the rune alphabet in the previous section, check this out. This should look pretty familiar. So this task will actually help you and teach you how to use Twitter. What I want you to do is create a Twitter account if you do not have one already, and use hashtag. This is the hashtag number sign for some of you. Hashtag Kensington Runestone, and do some research. Find out what it was and what's being said about it. Put your answers in a Google Doc and share it using hashtag Mr. Parnell's Classroom Vikings. Okay, why it matters. The stone fits as evidence that helps support the Vikings being in America and Minnesota, and it's an important part of history. So let's just check this out real quick. So please go to twitter.com. And again, let that load here. So what you'll do when you search for it is up here, Kensington Runestone. Let's see what's being said about it. Okay, so we spelled that wrong here. Go back. So here's some stuff on the Kensington Runestone. We have this dude Dean guy talking about it. We have some articles. Look at this. Here's a real picture of that. So what I want you to do is, once you've put it in a Google document, you need to hit do hashtag Kensington Runestone and then hashtag Mr. Parnell's Classroom, and then put your link here. And sorry, that will allow you guys to send your assignments and me to look at them and then give you a well-deserved grade. Okay, still moving right along, setting the stage for day 4. We'll be learning about routes and maps by the Viking. Take some time to Google Viking maps and become familiar with the routes. So again, we'll use our search bar here. And let's just type in Viking maps. Okay, so we have some good results, good Viking routes. Here's kind of where